I think everybody agrees, even with the Beatles, that all you need is love, right? But it's common for me to hear people say, I think I'm falling out of love, or I'm not sure if I love anymore. And I think if we want to know if we love, I want to give a couple of basic criteria. Number one, there's an expression in Latin. It's not about love as such, but it's about what in philosophy you refer to as the good, okay? It says bonum est diffusivi sibi, which means the good is diffusive of itself. That which is good is not closed in on itself, but it tends to flow outward. And this is true of the greatest good, which is a spiritual good, which is love. One of the first criteria of love is that love, you would call, again, going back to my Latin, it makes me sound like I'm good at Latin, I'm actually not, but St. Thomas Aquinas referred to amor benevolentiae, which is the love of benevolence, which means essentially, for it to be love, for it to be theological charity, one of the conditions is we are seeking the well-being of the other for their own sake, not because you're going to get anything out of them, okay? For their own sake. So one of the first criteria, if I want to know if I am a loving person, stop and think, how much of my energy and time am I thinking about myself? How much of my time am I concerned about those who I love? And hopefully those who I love embraces all of humanity, and therefore that would be, when you're a saint. If you want to know if you love somebody, you can think, okay, and do I think, it's not like 24/7 they have to be on the top of my brain, because obviously the way you and I are wired, we go through life taking in stimuli, and obviously we are our own people. I can't get into somebody else's head. But one way of looking at it is, do I seek to make the other people happy? Do I seek to serve? When there is a setting, am I concerned with, my comfort, people's opinion of me, or am I simply somebody who goes out of their way to serve others? I don't know if any of you know, there's a legionary priest, now he lives in Rome. I think he used to live in Atlanta, and then he moved to Washington. Father Robert Presutti, some of you know him. Father Robert Presutti is one of those guys that is incapable. Part of it's because he's got nervous energy, but part of it is just that he is incapable of spending any particular amount of time seated. Like if there's a dinner or something, and there's a whole bunch of priests sitting around talking, you already know who's going to be the first one up and start picking up plates and start washing dishes and start cleaning and start doing things. He is a person who is wired to serve. And that's a sign that he's not taking himself and his concerns, what would be more comfortable, into consideration. He's constantly thinking about how can I serve the others? What would make the others happy? What would be good for the others? So the first sign is going to be how much time, how much of my energy is focused inwardly as opposed to outwardly. If I want to truly be a person who loves, then in any given situation, we can ask myself, where is my energy directed? Secondly, which is related, Jesus says here in the gospel, no one has greater love than this, than to lay down one's life for one's friends. Now, you can only die once, okay? So if you're going to be martyred for something, choose wisely. Don't get martyred over your cat or something, But I think the capacity to sacrifice. If you want to know if you love a thing or a person, ask yourself, what am I willing to sacrifice? How much am I willing to go out of my way for that person? There are some people out there that can be funny, they can be, fun to be around socially, but if you're not willing to sacrifice yourself for them when push comes to shove, then you don't really love. And I think if you want to see the measure of this, think again about what it implies to be a parent. Being a parent doesn't mean that you're always charmed by your children. Your children are charming up until a certain age, and then they become smart alecks and, have to, yes, you. Then they can talk back, and they can cause headaches, and they can do things that cause the parents to pull out their hair and do all those things. But I guarantee a good parent in any given moment, you could be getting in a throwing pots and pans at each other kind of a fight inside the house. And if your child leaves the house and gets in a horrible car wreck or something, and you at least suspect that something horrible happened to them, you will give up everything. You will forget everything that just happened, and you will go running to where your child is. Why? Because you love. And all those offenses and everything in the past disappear. That is the sign of love. It's not an emotion. It's not going to be what I feel. It is how much am I willing to give? How much am I willing to sacrifice for that person? Christ gives us the supreme example, obviously, to lay down one's life for one's friends. Christ wasn't just a martyr. He was the martyr par excellence. But the martyrs in the Catholic Church give us that example. The martyrs are the people who were willing to give absolutely everything. And that's why when you are martyred for the faith, you are automatically canonized. It's like, well, there still has to be a process and everything, but the church automatically considers anybody who is willing to give their life for the faith, ipso facto, is a saint. So let's, as we receive Jesus in the Eucharist, he who gives his life for us, every time there's a Mass, he gives his life anew for us, or he repeats the one sacrifice would be more accurate. Let's ask Christ for the clarity to be able to ask, oh, Lord, how much am I willing to give? Honestly speaking, how much do I hold back? And if I find that I'm holding back, Lord, give me the grace to be generous all the way. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, amen.